What's up, y'all? It's me. Today's day 25 on my sobriety journey. I'm gonna give y'all an update. Talk about a few things today. In the cup today, some chocolate milk. Fairlife. They filter it. Pretty sure they take the lactase enzyme into it. Or whatever they do to it, if you're lactose intolerant, you can still drink it. Now I'm not. I'm very tolerant to lactose, but still, fuck it. So, the first thing I'll say is I got this in the mail. I'm excited to play it. 2K24. I read about it. A lot of people hate it, but those are the people that play online. And I have a confession to make. I don't know the rules of basketball, so I'm going to use this video game to teach me the rules of the game. So hopefully I can start to watch it, play a little more, and understand how the game works, right? I used to play when I was really young, but I never really gave a fuck, and I can't remember any of it, so I got to start from fresh. And there's a really important reason why I want to play this one in particular, and why I'm even kind of into basketball now, even though maybe I always wanted to play it. But when I was like 1 day sober, right, when I was in the hospital the day before, it was very difficult for me, and I was in a pretty tough position, personally. I'm sure it gets a lot more difficult with harder drugs and different things. This isn't a contest or a competition. If you do want to compete with me, hit me up. I can beat you at whatever. But fucking rest in peace to him. Kobe Bryant reached me with a message, and I believe in spirits and spirituality, and I don't think he accidentally showed up to help me. You know what I mean? I genuinely believe that was help, and I'm very grateful to that, because there was a lot of times my mind almost caved in upon itself. You know what I mean? Where I had thoughts of hurting myself, of hurting other people, and it was a very dark and difficult time period for me. It was also a very bright time, if sometimes you feel blinded by the light. But he had one of the strongest minds that you can find. And the mindset of there's no point in thinking about it, it's not going to change the outcome, it was very important to me. Because when I started to wonder, is my heart going to explode? Is my brain going to turn to mush? Is like, what's going to happen, right? Because a lot of people will say when you get off drugs, first you'll feel like you're going to die, and then you will want to end the suffering. And that was honestly a pretty accurate description for a little bit. And I feel very grateful that I was able to receive some of his messages that he put out while he was on the earth. And one of the most important ones was there's no point in thinking about it. It's not going to change the outcome. So every single time I was like, is my heart going to... Well, there's no point in thinking about it, so I might as well enjoy what the fuck is going on. And the reality was there was a very serious panic and anxiety happening where thinking about it was probably making it worse for me. And, sitting around watching his videos, watching his game footage, reading his book was incredibly motivational and inspiring to me. And I really feel like it was a massive piece of why I got through it. So I have to give credit where it's due. What a lot of men fail to do is give credit where it's due. Now, I'm a fan of Rich Piana, one of the old kings of YouTube. And one of the things he stood on was give credit where credit is due. So if somebody shows up and helps me, I'm going to give you credit. Definitely. I'm not going to get self-made tattooed on my forehead when I have 2 parents and a bunch of people that helped me my whole life. You know what I mean? No disrespect to people that feel like they did it by themselves. But honestly, you probably fucking didn't. You know what I mean? There's somebody you're not giving credit to. If you really did everything by yourself, then bless you. But more times than not, there's some people in the shadows that just aren't getting credit. So when I found out that this game was kind of Kobe focused, 2K24, made me want to grab it, scoop it up. I just got a PS5. I have a little time on my hands. I'm pushing some detox. I'm allowing myself to enjoy video games for a little bit because I know when I get through this, I'm going to hit the most rigorous work schedule on my music and art than I've ever hit in my life. And it's going to be hard to hit things like video games and certain things like that. So I'm enjoying it while I can and while it's productive, because I have time to kill on this detox journey, because I have to make it through week after week after week until my body and brain reacclimate. You know, I feel like I traded in a Prius for a Ferrari, and I'm not used to the horsepower. You know, it's possible for me to drive this motherfucker through the wall sometimes, even on the beta blocker or whatever they gave me. So that's the first important thing. And shout out Kobe Bryant, man, he rest in peace. And I'm very grateful for the message and for the energy and the spirit. And I'm a huge fucking fan now. Absolutely. A massive fucking fan. Definitely. And it's weird I didn't really get to watch him play while he played, but thank goodness for technology, right? I get to go back into the past like I was there and enjoy it, even though I'm sure it's not the same as actually living it and being a part of that. But that's a big deal to me. It's very important to me. So if you ever see me with, you know, a Kobe Bryant jersey or his shoes on or anything, now you know why. I love him. You know, he helped me a lot, man. I respect him as a man, as a father, as an athlete, at a very high level. At a very high level. So that covers that. And on day 25 today, I had an appointment, a session with my therapist that I feel very good about, man. Like, very good about. It was my first day doing EMDR with him and getting set up. And EMDR is something that popped up in my research a lot, because I do not want to take any drugs if I don't have to. I don't want to take Lexapro. No disrespect to people who that helps. I don't want to take this beta blocker forever. I don't want to take any medicine that I don't have to. And I've noticed that a lot of people, combat veterans, people with PTSD from different areas, get a lot of relief from EMDR. And something I like a lot about EMDR is it's not a forever thing. You do it until you're done with it. It's not an appointment once a week that you're going to pay for forever. So I like that. You know, like as a personal trainer, if you come to me and you say, hey, I want to gain 20 pounds, that's a specific goal. We'll work together for a specific amount of time. You will accomplish your goal, and then I will send you on your way. Or you will pick a new goal and we can work on that, right? It's linear. There's a start. There's a finish. I like that. So today I started and I felt like I made a good amount of progress already. Halfway through the session, I'm yawning. I'm feeling my body exit a state of fight or flight. I took a huge nap afterwards and I have a very hard time sleeping, especially right now. So I feel really good about that. And I didn't even take my beta blocker until after the session. So I'm supposed to take it when I wake up, but some part of me wants to prove to myself that I don't need it. So I'll wake up, I'll hit a couple meals, I'll hit cardio, and then I'll take it. Or I will wait till noon or 1 p.m. and then I'll take it. Because some part of my spirit is like, if I take a drug that calms me down at the same time every day for long enough, I have a new addiction, right? And if that's not true, then I'm just afraid and I won't fuck with that. So that's why I'm doing that. So I still take it every day. I vary the time that I take it. It's, you know what I mean? I have enough to take it for another 25 days. So if I'm on day 25 and I have 25 more days of it, that's day 50 these will get me to. And I believe I'm in about a 6-week situation. So 6 times 7 is 42 if my math's not bad. So I'll get past 6 weeks with this. But my real goal is to make so much progress with this EMDR that I can just stop taking that completely. But if this is a chemical rebound, just because of all the years I smoked weed, and the reason I have a 6-week number is because for my research, people that smoke the amount of weed that I did for the length that I did have about a 6-week come off rebound period, you know, which is something they don't tell you in the movies and in the songs that push that shit. You know, nobody tells you when you try to quit fucking weed, your heart might beat out of your chest for a month or 2. But anyway, I feel very good about that. I'm very grateful that he's there to help me and that I have the resources to pay for that. And that I'm going to be able to do that. You know, we have some intense EMDR scheduled. I'm going to do 2 hours at the end of this week. And then I'm going to do, I think, a 6-hour or 5-hour session next week to just try to rip through it. I'm excited about that. So I'll let y'all know how that goes. But Today's story is going to be about the time I got waterboarded. So if you don't know what waterboarding is, it's a form of, I guess you could say, interrogation, torture. It simulates drowning in the human brain, but a little bit of air is actually able to slip through. So you feel like you're drowning, but you're not really drowning. So if you're somebody who's afraid to die, which most rational human beings should have some type of fear of death, it's going to activate that panic system and you're going to feel like you might be dying. And my experience with it will tell you a lot about where I was at this time, mentally and spiritually and probably socially. But I was 14 years old when I got waterboarded at military school. And by the time we did this, I didn't have fear of it, and I actually opted into it. I chose to do it. So people might be like, why would you choose to do that? But the experience I had was, you kind of have a fork in the road when you're in a situation like that. You can either choose to kind of knuckle up and nut up and face certain fears, or you can choose to be what is considered to be a bitch. And in situations like that, you don't want to be a bitch. In environments like that, you don't want to be known as a bitch. That's not going to be good for you, I don't think. So at least I didn't feel comfortable going down that road. So I took the other road. So you had the opportunity to choose between a brand or a piercing. I chose the piercing. My buddy pierced my lip. And then when they came around knocking on the doors, it's a foggy memory of mine, but I remember there was like a night where somebody knocked on the doors and they're like, hey, we're doing this. Do you want to come do this with us? And it was one of those things where I didn't feel like I could say no because I didn't want to be a bitch. You know what I mean? And at that point, I was so used to doing everything that was going on. I was like, all right, what's up? Like, I'm in, you know? So we went to this room. You lay down on a mattress with your head kind of hanging off it on the floor. Put a wet towel over your face. And then water's poured on the towel. And the way that it was done was kind of like a ritual. So there was a song that they would play. And when they'd play the song, at a certain part of the song, the water would be poured on your face. You'd be laying down there just kind of anticipating it. And when a certain part of the song activated, they'd pour it on your face. And then the things that I remember about it, and my memory might not be right, but the things that I remember about it are, I wasn't really afraid and I kind of enjoyed it, which sounds a little crazy, right? And that's where I think me at the time maybe had some type of deep suicidal tendencies that were very subconscious that I wasn't aware of. You know, if you asked me if I wanted to die, I would have been like, no, I don't want to die. But like based on me judging my behavior at the time, I was a little too open to it. And that was true probably up until goddamn a month ago. And that's for real. Like my belladonna story, those things, the deadly nightshade, that all kind of adds up with that. But yeah. So that's what I remember about it. I opted into it. I enjoyed it. I felt like there was a high that I got from it, and I liked to get high at the time. So, but I do not recommend it because I think it psychologically affected me a little bit. I'm not sure how, but I do think it affected me mentally. I'm getting a weird reflection off my glasses, so I'm just gonna take them off. But yeah, so that's the waterboarding. And then I wasn't the only one that got it that day. I think a couple of the friends of mine got it, and we all kind of did it together. And it was like a thing, like a ritual, initiation, call it what you want to call it. But yeah, waterboarding was interesting, man. Waterboarding was very interesting. I'd imagine if I didn't get to opt into it, and if it was more violent or forced, that would make it a scarier, more negative experience. So I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, or if somebody doesn't feel like they can say no to it, that it's not worse, or that if it's done for 10 times as long, that maybe it doesn't get worse. I'm not sure, but that was my experience with it. And yeah, I forgot that for a lot of my life. And I remember one time I was hanging out with some people somewhere, and I was like, y'all have been waterboarded before, right? And they were like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? And that's when I started to realize, like, maybe that wasn't normal, like what was going on there. And that started to unravel all the threads that were like, maybe that military school was a little fucked up. And to be honest, the more I pulled that thread, the more was there waiting for me. So I noticed when I observed my brothers that went to that school, a similar effect happens. You go from thinking it's all fun and games and a good time to recognizing what torture is, you know, and stuff that's really not okay to do to children or to let children do to each other when you have to supervise them. So, yeah, that's today's video, day 25. Let me know how I look. Let me know how I sound. You know, if you want to talk some shit, people love doing that in my comments, so have at me. If you want to love, you know, I'll take that too. I'll take what I get. But don't be surprised when I give what I get. You know, you show up with respect, you might get some respect back. You show up with disrespect, I might put you in the fucking blender and then the deep fryer. And don't get mad at me when I roast you and cut you up more than you're used to, right? But we'll see. Prometheus out.